All right, we're going to try again. Hey, we're trying this again. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, okay. See, this was my fault. I had the microphone switched to the wrong thing. Garbage trucks, right off the bat. What do I do with yard waste? So if they live in the country, I'll just throw it in their backyard if they're okay with it. Sometimes they'll have burn piles I can dump it in. I usually say I can either do that at no charge, or if you want me to haul it away, it's going to be real expensive. But since June the 1st or July the 1st of this year, my county actually stopped letting commercial guys use the dumps at all. So before, there was no charge. You could, go dump whatever you wanted to. But I think there was too much abuse of like tree guys from other cities come in and just dumping all their stuff so they didn't have to pay anything in Jacksonville. So now commercial guys cannot dump at all. So in the country, I either put it somewhere on their property, or in the city, I leave it at the curb, and the city does pick up inside of city limits at no charge. So I just tell them, look, I can't dump anything anymore. If you want me to, it's probably going to be at least, $300 or whatever for me to drive 2 hours and pay the tipping fees and all that stuff. So that's what I do with yard waste. It looks like everybody can hear me now. Chase wants me to go cut some yards. I think it's still a little bit light out, so I could go fit one in if I cared about it. Tammy's messing with me, saying she still can't hear me. Don't you do that now, especially after I just spent 5 minutes talking. Hey, Kendall, kissy face back. Can I like this? No, I can remove you. I can put you in timeout. I might do that. Andy wants to know how much I charge to plow snow. That's a good one. Mr. George Myers is on. Hello, sir. Patty Mayo, how long have you been doing your job? Started the business January 2017, and I think I got my first mow in March 2017. I mean, if you mean cutting grass, I had to do that, just like everybody else. Well, I say everybody else. Most people who lived on property that had to have grass cut, your parents make you do it. So that's been a long time. But at least for the business, January 2017 is the official start date. I lost my place. AX, you had my phone number. Yeah, my phone number is on almost every single video, so that's not really a big deal. But good job. You're very perceptive. Do I weed eat beds or use an edger? I don't generally do that. If I ever do, it's an edger. And the reason is because we've got, so I know a lot of places, when you put a landscape bed edge in, it can hold itself for a long time if you maintain it. But what happens in Florida is we've got very sandy soil that just kind of mushes. So even if you put an edge in a bed, unless, you dig it out like 4 or 5 inches with all the rain we get, it all just meshes together anyways. So at least on my regular maintenance yards, I don't actually do that. No, garbage trucks. I'm not in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm actually about an hour west of Jacksonville. But what I was saying is that's since my city and county doesn't let me dump stuff as a commercial guy, and I've got lettering all over my truck, so I couldn't just pretend like, hey, I'm just dropping off my own stuff. Jacksonville would be the closest place I would have to go. Julie Hoffman's on with all our smiley faces. Have you cut any more hedges with bees lately? No, Moozy, I haven't, thankfully. I don't run into wasps too often. That job where I had all those wasps was horrible. That was a nightmare. And of course, I didn't have any spray. I had to go get some. Patty Mayo, did you ask me that a second time? Yeah, you did. Shirley hears me fine. Let's show this one. Toys, tractors, trucks, and some dogs. He's editing his channel. Just add your mail. I said, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm eager to see what you put out there. Chase, so satisfying to watch you cut yards. Well, I appreciate that. It's so satisfying for me to cut them. So I'm glad you enjoy watching it. Getting ready to mow the yard himself. So what time zone are you in, Brand? I know here it's about 8:10 in the evening. So you're either burning the midnight oil, you're a little bit further west than me. How old am I? Too old. Sure, I look much older than I am, and I feel much older than I am. The bald head doesn't help. Gabriel can't get his Briggs and Stratos lawnmower. I'm assuming that's Briggs and Stratton to start. It's a Craftsman. That's a bummer. Hope you get it figured out. Axe Lawn Care Services. How much was your mower? The Bobcat 36-inch or the Big Dog Alpha 36-inch? I've got 2 mowers, so I don't know which one you're talking about. Andy says it's cooler in Florida now than it is Chicago. Should be the other way around. I don't know. I don't know how hot it is in Chicago, but it's been pretty hot down here. Patty, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything works out. COL9 Gamer, Betty won't respond to this. To that? Betty will, Betty will. Hey, man, how's the weather in Florida? It's hot. It's very hot. Other than that, it's okay. Got a lot of rain, too. Not like torrential downpours or anything, but enough to keep the grass growing. I lost the trail again. Let me find it. I almost wanted to call just to tell you, hey, Brad, you don't know me, but keep on the videos, brother. You probably wouldn't answer. Yeah, I don't answer out of state, Moosey. Part of it is there are a lot of younger kids who it's pretty funny. They'll be like, they'll try and deepen their voice and they'll be like, hey, this is and it's a voicemail, of course, because I don't answer. Hey, this is Joe with Jim's Real Estate. I need a price cut. Can you cut 216 Main Street? Call me back. It's just like, I don't know if they like if I answered, if they would have tried to, crank call me or what, but anyways, between that and just regular spam calls that have nothing to do with me being on YouTube, if it's not a local area code, I'm not picking it up. Let's see. So that was that one. Same thing. Edge is in Kauai. Kauai, Hawaii? Now, so, okay, Kauai, I'm really showing my ignorance here in geography. Is Kauai one of the islands of Hawaii, or is Kauai a city in Hawaii? I couldn't honestly tell you. Maybe you can. Would I prefer Steel or Echo, and why? Do you just mean in general? I would say whichever one you have better dealer support for. And for me, that's Echo. The only place that sells steel where I am, I'm in a pretty small town, is Ace Hardware. And nothing against them personally, but they are pretty much overpriced for everything. So that means that normally I wouldn't go to them for, lawn care equipment, supplies, edger blades, string trimmer line, anything like that, compared to the Echo dealer. So that's one of the main reasons why I don't choose that. That and the fact that I'm part of the Echo UAG. So they've sent me some stuff to try out that's still running strong. But if I had to do it all over again, probably still Echo, just because it's nothing against steel. It's just that I think Ace Hardware is overpriced. And since steel, the only place I can get steel locally is Ace Hardware, kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I've tried steel equipment before. I tried one of their brush cutters, a 111, and I liked it. I'm using their BR 800. I'm testing that out against the Echo 8010, and I really like the 800. It's not as powerful as the 8010, but it's more comfortable. The engine runs smoother, and you can feel that on your body, like less vibrations. And I love, 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 love that adjustable nozzle. That's really a nice feature that I wish the Echo had. The side start, oof, I could do without that. But I do like the steel blower. So anyways, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but you did a pretty general question, so I didn't know what you were looking for. How am I liking the deck system? That thing is nice. I will say that if you are strictly lawn care, landscaping, I don't know if I could say it would be a ton of help to you, because you're giving up some pretty valuable bed space, right? I think in my Chevy Colorado, I can fit bags of mulch maybe like 3 deep before it's getting to a point where I'm a little nervous, both about how high it sits out of the bed and how much weight is on the truck. I think I can only probably do one layer deep of mulch now, one bag deep of mulch, and certainly no bulk mulch because it'd fall down on the sides and everything. And, there's only maybe this much height between the top of the deck system and the edge of the bed. So like I said, if you only do lawn and landscaping, I don't know if it'll be super helpful for you. But if you do other stuff where you need more storage, like for me, the irrigation, the pressure washing, it's so nice to keep everything organized. And what's even nicer is now I can do all of my businesses. Well, they're all the same business, but I can do all the parts of my business from the truck and trailer without having to like go home and pick out my 5 or 6 irrigation tool bags and throw them in the truck. And it's very nice. Tornado siren, lots of smileys and kitties. Patty, I got your message about your sister. That's what I was saying. I hope everything works out okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see. Jump down again. Shirley, thank you. I appreciate that you think I do good work. As long as it looks like I do good work, that's all that matters. Martin Melendez, love your channel. You're a humble dude. Well, thank you. Try out the Skag V-Rig. I'm a Skag guy. So Skag and Husqvarna and Bobcat are what my local dealer sells. We don't have too many. There's one that sells Cub Cadet and Bad Boy, the orange mowers with the dog. And I've never really been too interested in Cub Cadet at all. And Wyatt from Wyatt's Lawn Care, he used the Bad Boy Standard for a while. I think it might be the Outlaw. I don't know if I think he thought it was okay, but he ended up getting a Skag. But if I hadn't have gotten that Bobcat, it probably would have been a Skag. Bobcat and Skag are what I see a lot of people using here locally, and they cut the grasses really well. So if I ever do try out another mower, it would probably be a Skag, just because I see all the other lawn guys around me with Skags, and that's what the dealer sells. So I might try and do the V-Ride one day. Brent says, oh, yeah, you got plenty of time then to knock a couple more lawns out. Cut the grass with buttons? I don't know if that's a joke that I'm not getting, or if buttons is slang for something. Axe Lawn Care, the big dog. So the big dog was, I think it was just under 3,000 after tax. I think it was like 28 or 20. I guess it would have had to been like 27 or 2,800. And then, tax adds on a couple $100. And I think at the time I bought several $100s worth of parts and accessories that they rolled into the purchase price of, like, the 48-month financing. But the mower itself was right around 3,000. It's residential, so that's why it's so cheap. Love it when you cut your mowing line. Well, my lines are horrible. I can't mow straight for the life of me. That's why a lot of times I do boxes. That and striping is not really big down here. But thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. What do you think about the Ego? Is it a good investment? Hernandez Lawn Care, good question. For me, it wasn't, and I ended up returning all that stuff. You'll see that in some future videos. But if you didn't know, I bought the entire Ego commercial series. It's about $3,000 to get on the platform. It's a string trimmer, a hedge trimmer, a handheld blower, the battery, and the charger. Very expensive. I think if you only run electric, I think it's a good bet. But the main issues with me were ergonomics. That backpack got extremely heavy when I was string trimming and hedge trimming, because anything where you were tilting or twisting or bending, that 19 pounds, it really, like the force on your body multiplies as you lean further out. So I didn't like that. The handheld blower is a lot less powerful than what I'm used to with my gas backpack blowers. Could I use it in my job? Yes, but it would mean double the time for blowing stuff off, which means, it's taken me 10 minutes to blow off a yard instead of 5 minutes. And that sounds little, but it adds up over time. So I didn't like the blower. The hedge trimmer worked fine. The hedge trimmer was, aside from the ergonomics of it, nothing bad to say about the hedge trimmer. And then the string trimmer, this is what sealed the deal for me returning it. I bought them all from Home Depot. There's no Ego dealers near me. I think most of the country, Home Depot is going to be where you get it rather than an Ego dealer. So bought it all from Home Depot, and all this stuff has a 30-day return period on it. I was like, all right, 30 days, that's good. If anything goes wrong, I've got at least 30 days. And then the Ego warranty on top of that. So day 26, I mow my own grass, this is the tallest stuff I've put it through, which is still not extremely tall, but it's taller than the weeklies and bi-weeklies I'd been doing it, the 3 weeks before. And it's a very hot day. I think the ambient temperature was like 95 or 98. And it cut out on me 5 times, the string trimmer did. I was holding down the trigger, string trimming, and it just cut off 5 times. So I was like, anything that I do with Ego is going to take longer than 4 days. Like, even if they send me a whole new string trimmer and battery, that's not going to happen in 4 days. So do I gamble with Ego's customer service and possibly get stuck with this equipment? Or do I just return it to Home Depot? And I just returned it to Home Depot. It wasn't worth the headache. Plus, the other thing too is the string trimmer is what I would be using probably 70% of the time, right? When you look at the blower, the hedge trimmer, and the string trimmer. So if that string trimmer is not spot on working 100%, there's no sense in me having any of that equipment, because you've either got to go all in on that electric. You're not going to just piecemeal, right? Because that battery's $1,300. So if you get that system, you're going to get the whole system, and all of it needs to work. So anyways, that's what happened with the Ego. I can't say if it's a good investment for you or not. For me, it wasn't, because of the ergonomics. It was not comfortable. The blower took a lot longer than what I was used to, which in the end costs you money and time. And I had that bad experience with the trimmer that just left a bad taste in my mouth. Might be a defective unit, maybe nothing wrong with any of the others that rolled off the line, but I wasn't happy about it. Now I've got to find back where I am on the comments. 85 in Southern California. Pretty toasty, Julie. Pretty toasty. Axe Lawn Care called you like last week. So I'm not sure. Oh yeah, you're one of the ones who was texting me. That's right. I think I was right in the middle of working when you two were texting me. Well, sorry about that. Toys, Tractors, and Trucks. Are you going to get that spindle fix? Birches is on. Hello, Birches. Okay, Kauai is an island in Hawaii. Good deal. Brant's kids these days, now that I'm one. Yeah, I'm a long ways away from being a kid myself. The blades were bent from hitting rocks, and the entire time they were backwards. They're not. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. I've heard about other times where people. Well, I guess there's only 2 ways to put it on. So they had high lift blades that they put on upside down. So like, the tail was digging into that would have been horrible. Shirley wants to know what height I prefer to cut lawns at. If it's the St. Augustine, which is pretty common, 3.5 to 4.5 inches. Most of the time it's 3.5. And then most everything else gets 2.5. So there's a lot of weedy yards, a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, some zoysia, some Bermuda, some centipede. Those are all 2.5. Weed yards are pretty much 2.5. I can't think of anything else. Those are the main grasses that we get. So either 2.5 or 3.5. Steel has more power and torque at a higher price. I guess it would depend on the models. I don't know. I don't know which models you're comparing. Axe Lawn Care. Okay. Did you ever start your YouTube? I know you started a YouTube channel, but I don't know if you uploaded anything to it. Moosey's heading out. Hey, thank you, sir, for watching, or madam, whichever you may be. Justin, how'd you get in the business? Was it a family-owned thing, and when did you start? No, this isn't a family-owned thing. I started this myself January 2017. I was mainly a stay-at-home dad. I retired from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida in 2015 to be a stay-at-home dad. A few years later, the kids are older and don't need as much attention, so I can kind of start mowing a few days a week around my wife's schedule, and that's where I started. Can you have your views? Can you have your views? Yes, I can have my views. And you can have your views. Patty, when did you first start your lawn business, Brad? Okay, listen, everybody. I started my lawn care business January 2017. I'm just teasing. I know you guys are, you're just reading and commenting. Julie, thank you so much. 99 Hustle, is there such a thing as a John Deere up there? Well, I guess it'd be more like down here, right? Because we're in Florida. Not very many people use John Deere, no. Rosa is Lizette. Rosa says, I'm Lizette from Puerto Rico. So thank you for writing all the way from Puerto Rico. I was trying to think of something to say in Spanish, but I couldn't. Such short notice. I was going to say welcome to Puerto Rico, but that doesn't make any sense. Justice Lawn Care. How did you get on Echo's demo team? They actually have an application process that you can go to. If you go to echomeansbusiness.com, Echo means business. You can apply to be part of the Echo User Advisory Group. Sorry, I keep leaning down. My shin is itching. I must have got bit by something. Wyatt used the Outlaw 54 and bought a Skag 52. Yeah, mowing business. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Patty. Thanks for the feedback. Something to look at. Well, I'm glad you checked us out, Martin. I hope you like what you see. And I'm glad Mike from Something to Look At is posting videos again. He went on a hiatus. Yes, I am in Baker County. That's correct. Got my first Echo PAS. Yeah, the PAS system is pretty nice. I got to admit, it's got a lot of flexibility, which is very nice. Heat index is a scorching 98. Yeah, that's pretty toasty. I'm trying to donate $9.99. You don't worry about it, Patty. You don't have to. Right, time for cold beer. Can a 14-year-old be a UAG member? I do not know. I would go to Echo Means Business and find out. I would assume you have to be 18, but I don't know. We need a lawn care video game. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Farming Simulator. Like 2000, they come out with one every year. But I do a lot of searches for lawn care, and there are people who will play that game, Farming Simulator. And you take your truck and your trailer, and you go into your barn, and you take your mower out, and you load it onto the trailer, and then you go in your truck, and you drive to a lawn, and you unload your mower from the trailer, and you go mow, and then you go back home. And so I don't know if that qualifies or not, but it looks pretty close. David wants to know if I've ever promoted your lawn care business in any parade like Hometown Festival or 4th of July parade. No, I only mow a couple days a week, so I've got to be very selective about the yards that I take. And because I've got less time than most people, so I don't want a whole bunch of people calling me. I want to be very, very selective about the yards I take. So I haven't ever really done any kind of mass marketing. I've got postcards that I'll mail out to specific neighborhoods, 3 specific neighborhoods that I want to work in. But aside from that, no. Hopefully it's not an allergy. No, I don't think it is. I think it's some kind of bug bite. Live in Pasco County. Captain's Logs would like that, but we need our own. Yes, we need our own dedicated solely to cutting grass. Patty, you don't have to worry about donating anything. I appreciate it. Mike finally showed up. My goodness, how many minutes? 22 minutes in and you finally show up. What a slacker. Southern style lawn care. Very nice to see you. SSLC. Slice. We could do that. Slice. SSL. No? Okay. I can hear you shaking your head from here. So yeah, quality over quantity, route density, especially when, like I said, I only do this a few days a week. So, and if any wrenches ever get thrown in my schedule, it's easier for me to reschedule my lawns with people that are nice. So clients who are, we've got a good personality match, and they weren't just like, hey, I need the lawn cut. And I'm like, okay, I've got to have the work. And then I don't really take on bigger yards too. And those ones are really hard to reschedule just because of how long they take. At least that's what I found. What trimmer do you recommend for me at Home Depot for a small hard grass yard? I'm not sure what you mean by hard grass, but if you mean like weeds that have stems on them, I don't even know what Home Depot sells. I don't shop there. They're like an hour away from me, 45 minutes away from me. I mean, any of the residential stuff will cut it. It's just how long is it going to take? And, how long are you going to have to sit there hammering away at it? But I mean, if it's difficult grass, I would say just get the best one that you can. Sorry, that's not really a good answer, but I don't know. Yeah, you should be sorry, Mike. You should be sorry. Captain's Vlogs, Southwest Florida's here. Glad to represent from Southwest Florida. Patty, you don't have to donate anything. I appreciate you asking, but you don't need to do any of that. I'm good. I'm all set. I've got my water bottle. Don't need anything else. Southern style mows 3 days a week, 20 a day, makes rain situations easy, and do other things Thursday off Friday. That's a pretty sweet setup right there. That's nice. And yeah, I would assume that like if you mow 4 or 5 days a week and rains roll through, you get a little bit stressed out trying to fit them all in. So if you're only mowing 3 days a week, that makes it real easy to move stuff around and never get too behind. SRM 225, yeah, I think that's pretty much the bottom tier. Well, I say bottom tier, the entry level. Actually, they might have like a GT something. I don't know if that's only their curved shaft. I think Echo's got some curve shaft that's like a GT something number. I can't remember, but that's, I think, their bottom of the line, or most residential. Captain's Log mows 4 days a week. Romero, how are you doing, sir? Very good to see you. I like that the commercial you did the other day. That I'm gonna have to get you to do some voiceover work for today on Copper Creek Cuts. Brad experiences the tallest grass of his career. Can he cut it? Let us find out. But of course, your voice is going to be much more smooth, suavemente, than mine. Mike's working. Very nice. I'm proud of you, multitasking. Andy's heading out. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. I mean, thank you. Goodbye, Andy. I'm reading too many comments ahead. How many yards do you think you could be done in one work day mowing using? So, and see, this is the thing. Anytime anybody gauges their work on YouTube with yards, and I don't say this to be mean, but it's completely meaningless. Their equipment, their yards, their routes, all of it is unknowns that you will have no way of knowing. So, 20 yards or 10 yards to one person could be 4 hours of work, or 10 yards for another person could be 8 hours of work. You don't know how far spaced out those yards are. You don't know how big they are. Even when you say average size yard, I mean, across the United States, there really isn't an average size yard, I would say. And in my county, there's people who have 2, 3, 4 acre tracts with horses. There's people who have 20 acres, with farmland, or that just like space. Then there's people who live in little 10/10 of an acre or 2/10 of an acre lots on subdivision. So I honestly don't have an answer to that question, just because there's way too many variables. But at least if you're just looking for an answer, for me, for the type of yards I do, I just did 9 the other day, and that was I started at 8:15, and with a half-hour lunch, I finished right around 3. So if you add in another couple hours, maybe 11 or 12, if you work from like an 8 to 5 kind of thing. So I don't know, but I'm not using a push mower. I'm mowing, weed eating, blowing, and edging. But like I said, I don't think that's really super helpful, but dinero me. Uh-oh, my comments jumped again. Hold on. Cato Lawn Care has joined in. I'm scrolling back up. I'm not skipping you, Cato. My comments jumped down. I've got to track back up. Blue Cross is health insurance. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is a very large. They're different states have them. So Blue Cross and Blue Shield, pretty much everyone recognizes, but in each locality, it's different. So like Empire Blue Cross, they're real big in the Northeast. Anthem Blue Cross, I think they're pretty big in like a New York and that kind of area too. The place that I worked for was in Florida, and only Florida. So now it's called Florida Blue. Back then it was Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida. But anyways, it's health insurance, life insurance, dental. They sell insurance to groups. So when you go to work and you get insurance provided to you, health insurance, it could have been through us, that kind of thing. Let's see. All right, now I'm back down to Cato. Cato's in here. Eyebrows in the house. Right. All right, Romero, we'll have to talk about that. You'll have to send me your movie contract or whatever, your business contract, and I'll see if I can afford you. With that voice, I don't know. You might be out of my pay grade, sir, especially with the shirt and tie. I don't know. Move aside. There's not enough space in the live stream for these beautiful. Oh, that's look, Cato. Eric, don't let anybody. This is one of those things where you always want what you can't have. So I find myself, I always, like, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm always looking at other guys' hair. And the moment I saw yours, Eric, I was like, that's a hairline that I envy. That man, that is a nice head of hair. So yeah, don't let anybody ever. I'll tell you what it is. It's somebody else who's bald like me, and we're jealous of what you have. That's exactly what it is. Brian, I think you're talking about the same thing I was, how long things take. A lot just depends on the size of the yard. Fences, no fences, mulch beds, nobody, drive time. Yeah, there's a lot of variables. Romero, this is my last week of full-time mowing service. Monday I started the company. I gotta go. Well, good job. Very nice. What company is that, if I might ask? Not ask. Bald is beautiful. Bald is beautiful to some people. I'll give you that. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of bald. Not that I necessarily have much say in the matter. I always wear a hat. I've got like a little, they call them neck gaiters, but I wear one on the top of the head and a straw hat. I actually did just pick up a new straw hat from the company who sells all the face masks and sleeves. I don't know. I can't remember their name. It's a fishing company. If anybody remembers their name, you can say it and I'll remember it. But got a new straw hat from them because my $10 one from the dealer is starting to fall apart. It's looking pretty bad. Beauty is only skin deep. That's right. And my hair isn't even skin deep. It's not even, man. And the sad thing, I was digging through some old credit cards, you know, in the junk drawer. You know how there's a lot of credit cards everybody sticks in there. And one of them was an old Costco membership from probably 7 years ago. And I was still losing my hair then, but just the hairline was still much fuller than it is now. So sad to say. SA Company, that's what it is. Exactly right. So yeah, so I got, because I wanted a new straw hat, and I didn't want the made in China one because I wanted to see what a good one would look like. And so they were running some special, like for $35, you would get that, 2 face shields, which I don't know if I'm going to use the face shields. I'll give them a try, but it gets so dusty. I really need that mask with the filters. But at the minimum, I might be able to use those as head wraps because I've only got one. And then arm sleeves. Comes with arm sleeves too, which I don't necessarily care about arm sleeves, but I think I need to start wearing them because I wear not these polos, but short sleeve polos that I get a lot of sun, and I don't think it's good for me to be there much, to do that all the time. Plus, there are some yards like my bi-weekly where the grass is so tall in the morning times, if stuff is dewy, it just coats my arms, and it itches if I don't get them off. So we'll see how that stuff works out. But I liked it because all of it's neon green, so it matches my my polo and my color scheme. And the bottom of the hat has like a what's the fish? Mahi. It's like a color scheme that's like green fish scales or something. I don't really know anything about fishing, but anyways, that's coming in soon, so I'm excited about that. Terry loves the videos. Well, I love that you love the videos, Terry. Thank you for watching. George Myers, this is a family channel, so I can't read that out loud, but I'll take your word for it because I would have no way of knowing. And I don't want to know about why that's the case. So like I said, I'll just take your word for it. Okay, Romero, Austin Industrial. I'm working in refineries and maintenance guy. What are they called? No, very nice. So are you going to be done mowing at all? I mean, for forever? Or are you going to still do it on weekends or anything like that? Brian says that was TMI. I might. I'm always looking for good, entertaining content. That might have been TMI. Yeah, but along, just kind of wondering because I might attempt to start my own lawn care business in the future and just want to know. And I get that, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's one of the main reasons I started watching a lot of YouTube. Probably the middle of August. No, the middle of 2016. So I started the business January 2017, and I started April or May of 2016 looking stuff up, and I wanted the same stuff. And it was funny because I'd watched some videos. I think one of them was Johnny Crooks from Blades of Grass, and he said something to the effect of, it doesn't really matter what my numbers were. And at the time, I was like, oh man, I clicked on this video wanting some numbers, and because when you get started, you're just trying to get a ballpark to see because you don't know anything about pricing. And so yeah, I completely get the wanting to find some kind of a baseline to start going off of. But it is funny that once you start doing it for a while, you're like, oh yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter what somebody else's numbers are because everything's so different for me and my individual circumstances. But I will say that several things that helped me with pricing. One video was from Lawn Care Millionaire, and in that he said that if you're not at least billing out $40 a man hour, you will not have enough money after all your expenses and profit to grow the business. So that was in my mind. And then also I had seen, as a rule of thumb, not as a 100% given rule, but as a rule of thumb, the dollar a minute kind of thing. So the at least $40 an hour and the $60 a minute, those kind of helped me start with pricing, so that at least I wasn't, like there's some people on Facebook locally who are mowing lawns for $20 when someone says, hey, I've got an acre to cut, and they're like, I'll bring my pusher mower and do it for $20. So that kind of helped me at least get a baseline for the first year. And I priced all kind of stuff wrong the first year, so many things wrong, but you learn from there. So yeah, I didn't want to make you feel bad, saying, well, it doesn't really matter because it's all different. Because I was in the same spot, a few years ago when I was starting out trying to figure out what kind of numbers to use. Salt armor. Is that what SA stands for? Oh, that makes sense, because they're fishermen, because they're mainly a fishing supply company. This train of thought, I promise it's just water. There's nothing else mixed in here. I didn't know that's what SA stands for, but that makes sense. Captain's Vlog here. This would be my company's channel, but I'm in no way a YouTuber. I don't even know how to edit. I'm just trying again. I tell you what, editing is one of those things too that I don't really know. I didn't really know how until you just do it. And then you get better at it and you say, I don't really like how I did that. Let me try this. Or you look at other people and you say, I like how they did that. Let me find out how they did. So I wouldn't let that stop you. Just film something that you enjoy, or a job that you're proud of, or something that you get a kick out of, and go from there. At least that's my advice. Gibsonia. That sounds like a very exotic place. Pennsylvania. Love the live chats. Well, thank you. I have not done one in many months. I used to do one like every month, but I just kind of fell out of the habit of it. Some dogs try one to see how long it takes. And some dogs try one to see how long. Oh, maybe you're talking about the lawns. Just do it and see what kind of numbers you get. Let's see, where'd I go? So I don't, Romero, I don't actually work for Florida Blue anymore. I retired in 2015 completely so I could be stay-at-home dad. My wife pays all the bills. She still does. All the stuff I do get from mowing goes right back into the business. And I know that, I don't think that's really won me any favors on YouTube because of the what it portrays. In my first year, I went from using our family's minivan and a Harbor Freight trailer. Well, this was actually 2 years. In the first year, I went up to a brand new enclosed trailer with lettering that didn't really look that great, but and then in the second or the end of the second year, I got the truck and all the new decals. And a big reason of that is because my wife is paying all the bills for us. So, and she's kind enough to let me dump all the lawn care money back into lawn care. And I actually did some video for Echo Means Business about the best time to start a lawn care company. And in my opinion, it's when you do not need money from a lawn care business. So when you're like, oh man, I don't know how we're going to make ends meet anymore, that's not a good time to do it. I mean, if you have to, obviously, yes, but the best time is when you don't need any of the money, when you've got free time and you can go cut yards, and then the money that you get, you can just keep dumping right back into the business to get better equipment so you're faster and you can do more yards. And that's really worked out well for me. So anyways, that was kind of off topic, but I don't work for Florida Blue at all. How many yards do I do a week? I know it could be tough sometimes. Yeah, I think doing a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30, whatever it is, that would be tough. And then mowing on the weekends. But I know there's some people on YouTube who do that. I've got between 16 and 20 that it's different because some of them are bi-weekly, and we're real rural too. So I've got some people who they'll call like once every other month, but there's a lot of those people who just want their grass cut so that the dogs don't get lost when they go out. But anyways, that's the number. I'm pushing to get a little bit more and to fill up. Like I said, I've got a few days a week where I can do this. So I'm really trying to completely fill those time slots. I'm not quite there yet. Julie loves SA Company. I've never tried them. I've been seeing ads for them forever, but it's mainly the face shield thing. And I'm like, that's not really me. You guys know I try and like look as professional as possible. And I've got nothing against the people who like wear the, scary clown masks. It's just, that's not me. And that's, that's kind of all the ads I see for them are the scary clowns or like the cowboys or the skulls on the faces. So I was like, I never had an interest until I was looking for the straw hats and saw they made straw hats. I will, Eric, on whether the hat's nice or not. And like my experience with the Chinese hat I have for $10, it's held up really well. I mean, it's just a straw hat. So I don't know what kind of levels of quality go into it or not, but I've been using it for at least a year and I'm not kind on it. So I've got high hopes for, a company who looks like they care about making a quality product. I do need some long sleeve polos, and everyone who I've seen switch to long sleeve says they're cooler, but it's just a complete vanity thing. I don't like the look of long sleeve polos. There's no good reason for it other than that. I think they would be cooler because everybody says long sleeves cooler. I think they would be healthier because it's keeping the sun off you. I just don't like the way I look in them. But yeah, one day I might order some from Queensboro, and they have sales all the time. Queensboro is the company that I get or have gotten my polo shirts from. I've actually got some. Last year I went to GIE, and I was so cold. I did not dress appropriately. So I'm trying to get some warm weather stuff from them so that when I go this year. But anyways, that'll be coming in soon too. But they have sales all the time. It's kind of like Harbor Freight where you never really know if it's a good deal or not because they have sales so often that you're like, wasn't this just on sale for $10 2 weeks ago? And that was the best sale ever. But they are good people to work with. The first batch I got had a bunch of issues with quality control, and they took care of it really, really nicely. So long rambling answer, but that's the kind of answers I give. But I may do long sleeve polos or something. Let me know how the arm sleeves work out. I will try 60 of the face shields. How many face shields? This might be like the equivalent of me asking my wife, how many pairs of Teeks shoes does she need? I mean, after a certain amount, you're really just duplicating colors on the rainbow. 60 face shields. Well, you're going to be a good testimony to how their products hold up. Do you have any of the reflective ones? Here's what I did want to know. I wanted to know if that reflective tape was like super thick and itchy because the main reason I would use the face shield since I've got that respirator is just as something to catch the sweat. So I always have that neck gaiter on my head and then the straw hat, and that keeps the sweat out of my eyes. So let me know how if you wear them on your head and how they do for soaking up sweat. I don't have the equipment and I don't live in an area where I can try until I potentially move. Got it. That's fair enough. What was your major in college? Did you graduate? Hector, is that a story? No, so I've got an associate's degree. I don't even know if you have a major for an associate's degree in arts. It's in the closet. I was going to look at the degree. I think it's in business. So whenever I decided to go full-time stay-at-home dad, I had 3 classes left to finish my bachelor's degree at the University of North Florida, and they have new online classes. So that was in 2015. I've checked every year for online classes to finish those 3 that I need. And last semester, I was able to finish 1 that they finally offered. I've got 2 more, and I'm still checking every semester to see if one of the ones is offered distance learning, but it's the last class that I have to take, the capstone or whatever. And I don't particularly think that you need a degree to do this sort of work, but I had accumulated a large amount of credits in high school with dual enrollment. And then once I started working for Florida Blue, I didn't really care about college for several years, but they've got a tuition reimbursement program. So, 3 or 4 years after working for them, I was like, I might as well go ahead and take advantage of that, and started doing like, I don't know, 1 or 2 classes a year, whatever their maximum reimbursement was. So finally got to the point where I had 3 left, and that's when I decided to go full-time dad, full-time stay-at-home dad, and without any online courses, I couldn't finish. So no, I don't have a bachelor's degree. I have been trying to finish it for so long, and hopefully I will. But that's the if I ever do finish, I'm going to make a YouTube video that I hope goes viral, and it's going to say something like how my 4-year degree took me. Well, depending on when I finish, it might be like 16 years. So that might be funny. Part-time lawn care and full-time jobs can be tough, but very doable. Eric's wanted to know. He does that if you have the right mindset and determined to succeed. You've got to, I think you've got to place a lot higher value on what businesses you're trying to build and your job than your free time, because definitely your free time is what's going to get eaten up. You know, the time that you would have had for you, or possibly you and your family. And like some days it's a bummer because, like I said, I do it around my wife's schedule. So if she's off on a holiday, I'll usually use that as a day to go mow, so we're not together. And it's always nice to be with your significant other when they don't have to work. It feels like a special day. Or when she's home working, she'll split her attention between her job and the kids for me. So helps a lot to have a good support system, or just to be single. Then it's a lot easier. Professional edge lawn maintenance, washing others. So I feel you, professional edge, because there's so many people who watch my videos and they're like, this is the worst thing ever. I hate how you're mowing. And I get it. If you're somebody who does long back and forth, first of all, I normally do like a box cut down here. And in a lot of my videos, like if this screen is the whole yard, somebody who likes stripes, they'll just go back and forth like this, right? But if you set a camera here and you're filming all this, it's not really fun to watch, because once the mower gets to about here, you can't really see what it's doing. And so what happens is I'll set the camera up here and I'll mow this little square, and then I'll move the camera to here so I can mow this little square. So a lot of times people get really frustrated watching my videos, which I get, but there's just no way around it. If you want to make an entertaining YouTube video, which is the main reason I do this, I mean, I'm not really a fount of business experience here. I've only been doing this 2 years. So I'm mainly here to entertain people. But it's just, there's not really any way around it. But even the times when I try and do nice stripes, I just do it so rarely that they're never any good. So I'm going to keep, Romero's going to keep his regular accounts and going to let on-call ons for commercial accounts and treat me real good. So, well, that's good. I think that can be a good situation to be in, where you don't need the work as much. This kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You can be a lot pickier with your clients, and you can only take the ones that you get the vibe they're not price shopping. They want somebody who cares about, what they're doing and how it's going to look. Brian doesn't know if it's still available, but bought a book on starting your own lawn service. I'm sure that can help. I found all the info. I mean, ultimately, whatever works for you is what's best. But I know I found more information than I needed here on YouTube. There's a lot of people. Florida Turf Pros, he's got a ton of great info that helped me out when I was starting. And I think they did recommend the Pumpkin Plan. I think that's the only book that I read getting started for it. And kind of the whole process behind that was this idea of, when you have a client base, always dissolving the bottom 10% and getting rid of them to make room for more people. And then, you continually dissolve that bottom 10% until all you've got left are really good customers. I don't know if that's the book you're talking about either. Well, no, probably not, because that wasn't about starting your own lawn service. That was kind of for all businesses. Yeah, and so they showed how to price lawn maintenance. That wouldn't have been the book. Toys, tractors, only 13, but I don't mind saying doesn't care. Anything helps when I push it. Yeah, that's a good age to start getting some experience. Work full time, mow part time, 18 lawns a week. Got more landscape where they end with. Well, Mike, that's because you're saving up for another Range Rover for me, right? You should be working that hard. Was that a topless Range Rover that I saw you in? I think it was one of your Instagram videos. That caught my eye. I've always liked the lines on that Range Rover Evoque. I think that's the smaller one. I think it's the Evoque. But Yeah, let me know if that's what you were in. That was a sharp looking car. You're welcome, Romero. I hope it all works out for you. That's very exciting, especially on the benefits side. My wife and I, we played around with the idea of, well, is this something where you could ever, my wife could ever quit her job and we could work full time? And, even when we play around with the numbers of yards that I would need to equal her pay, it's doable. But then you look at what she gets in benefits working for a company, right? And the health insurance and the 401k matching and the annual bonuses and all that stuff. It's like, okay, okay, we need to mow a lot more yards to make up for that stuff. So that's having that those company benefits are huge. And that's why I think the working full time and mowing part time, that seems to be one of the best combinations of somebody having benefits somewhere and then mowing as well. All right, toys, trucks, tractors, and some dogs is heading out. Thanks for joining us. There's some well-to-do kids doing lawn maintenance somehow. Find a friends and use it. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I've got nothing with kids doing lawn maintenance as long as they're safe. I think there's probably a lot less kids doing that nowadays than used to be. And charge 35 for weed eat mow and yeah, and so that's that 35. And this is another reason why YouTube's tricky, because anytime you post prices, you're either going to be way too high or way too low. Protecting your skin is important, Julie. I might have to get the long sleeves. Go get some long sleeves performance shirts on. I gotta have the collar. I've got to have the polo collar. Yes, I do. No, the tape is not that thick. Okay, good. So we're gonna sweat through about a 6-2. That's the worst thing about not having hair that I've missed. It's like I've kind of gotten over the looks of it. I'm not like, oh, I remember when I could run my fingers through I don't do that anymore. I'm just like, I remember when I didn't sweat. And like as soon as I go outside, bam, I'm like walking to the mailbox in the shade and it's 75 degrees out. For some reason, it's just like bullets start forming. So I sweat so much. And yeah, the eyebrows, I don't have Eric's eyebrows, so it doesn't help screen them, like windshield them out of my eyes either. So I wasn't making fun of you then, Eric. I was being sincere. Did you ever return the Ego products? I did, Hector. I talked about that a little while ago. So I bought them from Home Depot, which has a 30-day return policy. On day 26, I've got a video up on it. On day 26, my Ego trimmer just would stop working in tall grass on my own lawn. I let my grass go really tall so I could test it out. And like 5 times I was string trimming and it just cut off. And I was like, So the worry was that whatever Ego would do for me, whether they send me a new one, brand new, or, whatever, it was going to take a lot longer than 4 days. And I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was like, I'm just going to cut my losses and return everything to Home Depot. So thankfully there were no losses. That was a bad figure of speech because I got a full refund on everything. Does running this channel inhibit your ability to actually do your job? Does setting up the camera and all that effectively? Yes. So there's 2 parts of this question. It's a very good question. If I were full-time lawn care and I had to feed my family off of this, I do think it would affect my job. Because I know that's a lot of people's complaint about people who make YouTube videos. They say, I don't know how anybody has time to do that. I'm out here working all day. And I get it. If you have to make a certain amount of money and you can only do that by, mowing a certain amount of lawns, and it takes you from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. to mow those lawns and you're not taking any breaks, yeah, it's going to be tough to make videos. But again, with my situation, it's a little bit different because I'm not relying on this. So if there's any days where I say, I'm only going to mow 4 today instead of 6, or I'm only going to mow 8 today instead of the 10, so that I've got extra time in the schedule, I can do that. So it impacts it that way. And then when you look at it on a yard by yard, yes, depending on the yard and what I'm filming, I can spend as much time moving the camera around as I do mowing. There was one yard where, especially on the smaller ones, because on the smaller ones, what I tell myself is that I'm going to film the string trimming, the edging, and the mowing and the blowing. And so the mowing isn't as bad, but with the string trimming and the edging, if you want to get it in frame to where people can actually see what's happening and they're not just watching you walk, you want them to actually see the string trimmer cutting the grass or the edger cutting the concrete. You've got to get really close. So that means that you'll edge 10 feet, then you got to stop, go over to the camera, move the camera, make sure you're in frame, walk back to the starting point, edge another 10 feet, move to the camera, move back to the starting point. You got to keep doing this over and over. With string trimming, it's even worse because there's a lot more string trimming. You go all the way around the fence, and you got to do that every 10 feet. Then you get to the house, you got to go, and then you got to do that around all the landscape beds and the mailbox and the utility boxes and anything else that might be in the yard. So yes, it does absolutely affect the time that you're on a yard. It can easily double the amount that you're on a yard. A lot just depends on the type of video that you're trying to make. Mariano, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the kind words. 4-door drop Evoque, I think, or Sport. I'll DM you there. If you want to, that's fine, but I'm never going to be able to afford one. And I doubt my wife will ever let me buy one. So I don't need, send me the VIN so I can get one exactly like yours. No, but that's a very sharp looking vehicle. 15 monthly accounts have been doing landscaping since freshman year in high school, freshman in college, still running my landscaping 2-to-1 for a day. That's perfect, David. That's a great setup. And I think that kind of setup is good too, because if you ever do have weather or something, it might be a little bit tougher with your class schedule. But if you've only got one day where you're mowing, it's a lot easier to slide that day around. Remington Rustler 2510. Is that a string trimmer? I started off with a Poulan Pro 25cc attachment system. Sweat is terrible in the eyes. It is. Sometimes too, if I get side work, it's been awesome for me. I don't understand how these big landscapers make it with 3 guys working in 1 yard, even charge $50. 3 guys in costuming machines are online kids. So yeah, I don't. The economics of larger companies is I don't know. The only thing that I can think is that the volume of work must make up for it. They're just doing so many more properties, and their margins are smaller with labor costs that they've just got to be churning out a lot more work during the day. And I'll even say that to people sometimes. If anybody calls me with a yard that's like over an acre, that's usually my cutoff point with my 36-inch mower, where I'm like, unless it's making a good video, there's not really any reason for me to come out there. But what I'll say is that, if somebody's got a crew of 3 or 4 guys who are getting paid 10, 15 bucks an hour, they're going to be much quicker. They've got, 50, 60-inch mowers. They're going to be in and out a lot quicker than I am, and they're going to be a lot cheaper than I am because of that. That I go into that because I don't ever want to seem like I'm rude or like people are not worth my time. So instead of saying, no, your yard's too big, thanks anyways, I give an explanation of why. And I've never had anybody give me any grief over it. And they're always like, oh, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for being honest, at least. But yeah, I don't know how the economics of big companies work, because I do know when I've looked into, for my state, workman's comp and taxes and Social Security, it's expensive to add somebody on, if you want to do it right. If you're not just paying somebody 10, 15 bucks an hour under the table, it'd probably be something where, and I say this, I wouldn't do this, where you'd almost look at like a temp agency where you just have to pay them a certain amount and they take care of everything. But I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I would need to know exactly who it was I was getting to work with me. It is hard to do YouTube and lawn care. And I found that the biggest thing, and the people in here who do it can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the bigger things than the time is the mental aspect of it too. Where like sometimes I'll have a yard that's a perfect one for a video, and it's just like, if it's later in the day, it's the last thing I want to do to spend all that time filming. You really have to be in the mindset to deal with the camera. And I'm not trying to make it sound like, oh, woe is me or something, but there's a lot more to it if you're really concerned about putting out a good product. there's a lot more to it than just setting the camera up and hitting record. You can do that on some yards, and I do that. They don't make as engaging videos because you know, the people watching are never going to be able to really engage or get involved, because at some point they're just watching a guy on a mower. They can't really see what's happening. That's my opinion only. George, when George was 14 to 18, he mowed 7 neighborhood lawns. He worked part-time in a body shop. He walked uphill to school both ways, barefoot, mind you, next to the glass factory. And they used to just throw their remnants out on the road that he would walk on. And this was with snow too. It snowed both ways. Snowed both ways. It was uphill both ways. And yeah, no, kids aren't built like that anymore, George. You know, I'm just giving you a hard time, George. David has been able to pay for his first and second truck just doing it. I know it's profitable for sure. However, don't get on a huge scale, dealing with hundreds of customers, bad employees. The number one complaint, it seems to me, watching the people that I watch on YouTube as employees, it is, and I think I'm seeing a lot more of it because of how hot it is. You know, just during this time of the year, it's a lot bigger of an issue where people can't even get somebody to work for a full day, you know, before they quit on them and they don't come back the next day. So that I don't think I ever want an employee other than a family member. So, you know, I've got some kids who are under 10 now. If they ever get to teenage years and, well, I was going to say if they want to help, they will help out. You know, if they end up hating it, I don't know if I'm going to make them stick with it, but I think, but besides family, I'm not going to try for employees. It's just a lot of cost and a lot of headache. And honestly, I would prefer to make less money and have less headaches than the other way around. Tampa, Florida. David, very nice. You're not too far away. Busch Gardens, Tampa, right? Man, I think I went there one time for middle school. I don't know if I've been back. Love your live video, but it's bedtime here. Well, thank you for watching, Shirley. I appreciate it. It's getting to be bedtime here soon for me, too. Sounds like a good unit. Mike's brother-in-law works for Range Rover. What? Friends and family discount? I'm on my way now. No, that's pretty neat. Unfortunately, they'd need to come out with like another 3 models down. So like Land Cruiser, Discovery, Evoque, something, the model I could afford. That's when they come out with that one, I'm driving up to Jersey. Are you anywhere near Tom's River? I've got family in Tom's River I often visit. I say often, I mean like once or twice a year. Actually, it's more like once a year. Once every other year or so. Actually, I don't have any family. No, I'm just kidding. I do have family. What kind of cameras do you use? I use the one that I mainly use is not in this room, but some of my most popular videos were filmed on this. I actually have, these are Moto X's, I think, from 2011 or 12. Had a white one and a black one. These were my wife's phones. And whenever we upgraded phones, I kept these. And these are what I started filming on. You know, I'd set these up on a tripod. And then from here, I upgraded to this guy, the Hero Session. Another large portion of my videos were filmed on this one. Not too long after I got this, probably, I don't know, maybe 5. I think I had this for like a year. Then I used this for maybe 4 months. And then after that, I got a GoPro Hero. This one was one they came out with in 2018. It was just GoPro Hero 2018. It was $200. And then like right after I bought that, they were coming out with 7s, so they stopped selling it. So it's kind of the basic GoPro Hero, before the 7s. This worked great. The only issue is that there's no LCD screen. So what happened was, you know, I always had to have a phone so I could see what I was looking at. And when I got this, it was because it was only like $100, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll save the $100. The screen won't be an issue because I can connect. But the connection between these two things, when it got real hot, one of these things got finicky, and like this phone would freeze up, so I couldn't see what I was filming, or these things would disconnect. And so that's why I only had this a few months before I only had this a few months before I was like, okay, I just need to spend the money and get one with a screen. Where are we back at? My chat shifted. Let me see. Tampa, Florida. Jersey family. Yeah, Julie, those wild yards are a buttload of work. You're right. That's a good way to put it. Everybody has to work with me until it gets hot. Oh my, who we got till it gets hot? Who is it? Vic from Quick Cuts or Clean Cuts? He did a real funny video about how he had to fire somebody who wasn't, and actually I don't even know if it was firing them because they just like stopped showing up to work after one day. You know, they didn't even text him, but he kind of did something, so it was funny. David's had kids quit same day on the job. Too hot, feel like I'm gonna pass out. Yeah. Professional Edge is from Toms River. Cool. Get out of town. It's a small world. In Inglewood, Florida now. About 50 minutes. Toms River is nice. I think we would always end up going to Brick for like the movie theater and the we do like a shopping and movie day. And is that all your live streaming? I'm on Volvo Cars Factory. So what? Very neat, Simon. Does that mean you're working there now? You better pay attention so you don't rivet your finger into a Touareg or something. Wait, is that a Volvo Touareg? I don't think that's a Volvo, is it? C590, C950. Well, I appreciate you watching all the way from Sweden. You looked at the DJI Cosmo. I've seen that. I did look at it. I don't know. I mainly put stuff on tripods and film myself, so I never saw. I'm looking around for something that looks like it. It's basically like a little handheld camera on a gimbal, but I don't know if it's got a screw that would take a tripod screw. But it's also like $350, and I think it's 1080p. I don't know if it did 4K. So there wasn't a huge incentive for me to upgrade. Tesla would be up your alley. Yeah, could be. There's got a Tesla coming out with some reasonably priced models. What's reasonably priced? Reasonably priced for a Tesla? What do you think of rumors of Roundup being bad for the world or something like that? I'm not sure. I don't know. I know Monsanto says it's not bad, but I know that a lot of people who use it say it is, so I'm not sure. Hey, Bill Osborne, how are you, sir? Good to see you here. So it looks like I have caught up to the end of the chat. Mike's got to run. Spent too much time. Good talking to you too. I think I'm going to hop off, guys. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us. Just over an hour. I'll try and do this again a little bit more regularly. Of course, I say that all the time, and usually it's another 3 months before I'm on here, but we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a great night.